there, welcome to the Cory Morgan Show. This is the episode before Turkey Day comes up, so I'm going to start right into my first controversial take. Turkey is overrated. Can't stand it. There's not a good way to eat that stuff. If you must, deep fry it. Do it carefully, but at least it makes it palatable. Otherwise, there's better meals to eat on that day. Now that I got you stirred up, I do want to thank the viewers and subscribers. We've been doing really well going in through this federal election and now into the civic election. Membership has been great. People are signing up. They've been watching the Western Standard. They've been reading those stories. It keeps us rolling. We're an independent outlet. We aren't getting any tax dollars from anybody. We're not getting any subsidies from anybody. We need your memberships to do that. So if you haven't gotten a membership yet already, check it out. Go to the westernstandardonline.com. Take out a trial membership. You can read our stories fully free for a couple of weeks. You'll see the value is well worth it, and for $10 a month, you'll be getting great content all the time, no paywall in your way. It helps us keep creating that content for you. It brings in those advertisers. Yeah, there's going to be some ads. That's capitalism. That's the way we go. And there's some good goods and services and candidates and things like that you'll find out through our advertising list anyway. So thank you if you've subscribed, and thanks for trying us out if you haven't yet and you're about to. Not to mention, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to that, share it, like us on Facebook, all that good stuff. Now, this civic election, I got to turn into that. What a pile of issues we got going on in this thing. We've got the mayor's council, all of those things. It's huge in Calgary. We're going to be getting a new mayor, at least 9 new council members. It's a total turnover. So we're either going to get, I think, one of the best city councils we've had in a generation, or we could get the absolute worst one. It'd be hard to get worse than Nenshi, but his chosen successor, Gondek, is dedicated to making sure she is as bad or worse than he is. But we'll see what happens. As well, we've got an equalization referendum going on. And that thing's been getting a little bit controversial because people who support equalization, in other words, socialists, really don't want to see Albertans expressing their distress with what is an interprovincial welfare program. I mean, that's really what it is. You're taking from the productive and you're giving to the non-productive, and it doesn't work. If it did work, this hand up to Quebec would have brought them up by now. Well, they're still sucking in, $16 billion, I think, this year. Alberta's been getting their budgets kicked to death. Massive deficits. Quebec's on the brink of balancing theirs. Why? Equalization. And now, this referendum won't change equalization. We understand that. Albertans understand that. But it's at least a means for us to get out and say we've had it with it. It's a step. It's a step in the right direction. It's expressing ourselves. It's not an internet poll. It's not a Twitter poll. This is people going in to vote. And you're going in to vote anyway. Hopefully you're going in to vote for your municipal candidate and other issues and such, daylight savings time, things like that. But take a chance and vote on the equalization and vote yes to say, we want to get that chunk taken out of the Constitution. It's a ridiculous policy. It's destructive to Canada. People are trying to tie it to Jason Kenney and trying to turn it into a vote, or an exercise where they can use that to slap back at Kenney. And whether you like Kenney or dislike Kenney, whether you're right or left, it doesn't matter. Vote on the policy. You'll have plenty of time to express your discontent with Premier Kenney if that's really your intent. But this referendum, don't let the people who are trying to protect the status quo get away with that. Don't let them have us come in with only 55% of us saying we don't like equalization, and then they can point at it every time we complain about it and say, you guys it's just a minority of you talking, or just a handful. Most Albertans are pretty happy with it. So get up, go out there, cast that ballot. It's worth it, okay? It's moving, as I said, in the right direction, and it's good practice. I'd like to see other referendums down the road. I want to see the big referendum down the road, the one that the Clarity Act allows for, the one where we're going to question our entire role within Confederation. But you got to get there in steps. And, this is one of the cards we can lay on the table. Here's one of the beefs we have within Confederation. Here's one of the problems we have within Canada. Fix it, and maybe we can maintain national unity. More than likely, Ottawa is going to tell us to take it and roll it up and stuff it up our collective butts. Okay, but we tried, and we went that route. Now we got to start looking at other routes and how we can change that system, and maybe full outright independence will be the way to go. But right now, we've got the option to express that we don't like this bloody equalization program. Get out there and vote on it. The other thing that's happening is our Senate election. So we're going to choose 3 people to stand as elected senators in Alberta. We've been doing that since the end of the 80s. We've had a number of senators get appointed based on our selecting them that way. It's similar to the equalization thing. Ottawa can ignore us on it, and chances are for the short term, they probably will. But why not choose anyways? At least we can express that. And again, it helps expose the ridiculousness of the system. Like, I was in the oil field for 20 years. My last 5 years in the field were predominantly working in the States. I was all over the place, Pennsylvania, Texas, Oklahoma. And of course, there's political people down there. I'm a political person. We would talk politics, and they would just be astounded. I mean, just leveled when I tell them we appoint our senators. Really? That's ridiculous. Yeah, I know. But yeah, the Prime Minister appoints the senators. I mean, it doesn't even register with them. And they'll say it outright. It's stupid. Yes, it is. At least we can start the process to changing that. So, getting on with that, I have a guest today. She's running for Senate. She's with the Conservative Party of Canada. She's the candidate for them. She's been campaigning for a month and some, and it's been hard to campaign with all these issues going on, a federal election that was going on, municipal candidates out there. You pull up on any street corner and you see 100 signs all over the place for all sorts of things. But she's in speaking with us today, and she had a good chat with me about how her campaign's going and what she wants to bring to the table as an elected senator for Alberta. Her name is Erika Barootes, and have a listen. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in to join us down here in Calgary in studio, Erika. I hope the drive went well.
Oh, yeah. It was. I spent a lot of time on the QE, too, so it was pretty quick.
Yeah, that's a hair-raising run, that one. But at least the weather's been good. So your Senate campaign has been going and running under the radar, I guess, for, a couple of weeks. I mean, this is a political couple of months already. Everybody's kind of tired out. How have things been? I mean, just in reception, I guess part of it's just even letting people know there's a race going on.
Yeah, I would say that that's the biggest thing, is just making people aware. A lot of folks, once you start talking about it, remember the Senate elections we've had in the past. But I've kind of had a pound pavement, get in front of folks and just have the conversation. But I think you're right, with the federal election that happened, there was a lot of confusion, especially because it's a federal appointment and because there's an association to federal political parties. So I think a lot of individuals were like, I'm going to go vote for you today on September 20th, and realized that I was like, no, it's on October 18th. So a little bit of confusion there.
Yeah, and maybe since I've got you, we'll clarify a little bit of it, because it's been different from some of the other Senate elections. It used to be that they would get the provincial parties to put forth candidates, and they would run and people would select. In this case, it's federal representatives, so you're representing the Conservative Party of Canada in this case, then.
Yes, that's correct. And so, yeah, it's shifted, and I think that the rationale on changing the Senate Act was actually because it's a federal appointment, so to be tied to a federal affiliated party made a little bit more sense, at least in the process of them thinking that.
At least those who chose it, yeah.
Yes.
I won't get you
Can't
into
speculate.
critiquing it. I've already criticized it. Personally, I think it should have been provincial, but at least we're holding the exercise.
I'm conservative. That's what I'm putting under.
There we go. And it's been a long-standing Alberta tradition, all the way back from
89.
Waters, yes, Stan Waters. Unfortunately, he did actually get appointed. It took a while, and then he passed away early, unfortunately. I think we've had a couple others. Doug Black was appointed, and Bert Brown, I think, was in for a little
There's
while.
5 of the 10 that have actually gone through the election process.
Okay, so just to remind people, because people say, oh, it's a waste of time, it's not going to happen, it's never going to happen. Well, it doesn't happen nearly enough, but it can happen, and then let's try to pick the ones we can when we can. So why should people pick you? I'll get right to that part then.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a number of candidates on there? What are you offering? What are you going to take to Ottawa on Alberta's behalf?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, the biggest thing is I strongly believe that the Senate and how it operates currently isn't working for Albertans, and it's not working for Canadians. So the biggest thing is being that champion, being that voice, traveling the province, and maybe changing up the way that people view the Senate or how it currently operates. So traditionally, it's a sober second thought and supposed to be a regional voice. We've seen the Senate, especially with some of the appointments under Justin Trudeau, shift away from being that and instead being another echo chamber voice of Ottawa. So I want to change that. I want to be that voice and make sure that I'm given a mandate by Albertans to take to Ottawa.
Okay, so what are some particular issues, though, on Alberta's behalf? Because it'll be a regional voice then in that case, rather than, we do feel we need that voice. I mean, that was a kind of a frustration in the federal election, perhaps. We understand, okay, you've got a campaign to the middle, that's where the seats are, that's where the votes are. But where and when do we get our voices heard? And what Alberta issues could you take that wouldn't be taken by members of Parliament?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's the famous C-48 and C-69 that I think are two bills that worked against our natural resources. I would continue to advocate for our natural resource and our economy and our energy sector as a whole. So working towards changing legislation and continuing to bring that Alberta perspective about, what is kind of our bread and butter of an industry across our nation coming from Alberta, and being able to champion that and consistently in the upper chamber. The other thing, and something that's happening is alongside on October 18th, is equalization referendum. So I believe right now the equalization formula is broken. We need to fix it, but that doesn't happen necessarily from screaming and shouting about it. It needs to happen alongside other members. The Senate is a powerful body that can help make that change, as well, and just continuing to champion, our fair deal as a whole and being heard, because it resonates with Albertans, regardless of what industry, is that we don't have the respect from Eastern Canada that we deserve because we're a member of Confederation. So finding issues that also matter to Albertans and continuing to bring those forward.
Okay, so Prime Minister Trudeau hasn't shown much interest in appointing somebody yet, but I mean, chances are within 2 years that people have another chance on picking another Prime Minister, the way we're looking at things. And we're going to have an elected slate of senators at that point. What work, presuming you were one of the, I believe it's 3 will be selected?
Yes.
Would you be doing in say that period until you get appointed? I mean, you kind of get locked into a Senate elect role, and it's an unpaid role, so you can only do so much. But is there advocacy and things you could be doing in the meantime? I guess in that period in between the purgatory.
Yes, I've done it before, and I'll continue to do it. Is be stand up for Albertans. So I don't see it if anyone that knows me, I'm not very quiet. So I'm happy to champion what I know are issues that matter to the people that call Alberta home. So I will continue to do what I've done, hold the government accountable, get out there and voice the concerns of Albertans, and use whatever power I can have or platform to be able to advocate for the beautiful place that we call home.
Great, yeah. Well, we need loud voices in there because a lot of those senators tend to fall asleep at times during committee work and such. So livening it up a little bit in there would be good as well. So is this coming as more of a team effort, though, like with other Conservative Party members going forward, or are you kind of all individuals that just have endorsements in a sense, I guess?
I would say, obviously we're members of the same team or members of right-leaning party. So obviously, if you can pick 3 individuals, picking the best 3 candidates. But, I think as any candidate in any race, I want to win. So,
of course. Yeah, so I just think it's a different dynamic running for Senate.
Yes.
I mean, in a sense, you've kind of almost got an internal competition going. Or think of it like an Olympic team, a bunch of gymnasts. Okay, you want your co-team members to do well, but you want to be the first of the bunch. But at the same time, you're supporting them. So it's just a different atmosphere. But is there like a central campaign for the 3 Conservative nominated
Not
ones?
necessarily. I think that might be something that evolves in the future. But because this was so new, new legislation, new affiliation with a federal party, as well as an election happening, I can't speak for some of the other parties that have put affiliates together or nominees. But in our sense, we're all kind of doing what we think is best. And like I said, I think it's up to Albertans to decide if I'm the best voice or someone else within the province. But I'll keep doing the hard work.
Great. Well, going this far into the race then, I mean, I don't expect, a heavy critique. You're in it. You've accepted it. But say for future Senate elections, is there room to change then the process? I mean, as you're saying, there would be a process for parties perhaps to change how they're going to run for it, but are there ways we could do it better in Alberta and in future ones? Is that an aspect of reform we could work on as well?
Yeah, I definitely think that just more timeline, more runway. By the time that we started kind of getting things going, or Elections Alberta was focused on it. It was the first time, so we were already in a campaign period. I think that it just limits the abilities and what folks can do and how much they can travel. I'd also say a pandemic kind of played into it a little bit, some restrictions, folks not being comfortable coming to events. So we've changed a little bit more digital, but that's not because of the act. It's just because of the world we live in right now.
Yeah, no, it's just been a bizarre couple of years. No rules are solid anymore. So in that light, I mean, you can't, door knock as you would for a local representative. Well, you could, but it wouldn't be as effective. Perhaps you need kind of a broader presence. What sort of reception have you been getting with events or campaigning that you've done so far? Like, have you been getting good feedback from people or interest?
I think one of the biggest things is a lot of people haven't met senators. A lot of people have never met a Senate candidate. So the biggest thing was just showing up and shaking someone's hand. And I think that my ability to travel and get out there in the province has already warranted a warmer reception than just trying to, only be digital or try to do from my home. So I've got great feedback. I think what I've heard is a lot of people were so frustrated with Trudeau, frustrated with his appointment. I was campaigning during the time he appointed Karen Swanson and former mayor of Banff, and there was so many people that were like, that's ridiculous, took it as a slap to the face, and were just insulted by his disregard for our democratic process. So that was became more top of mind when he did something like that, but it was people then I think even getting more engaged and advocating for folks that they've been able to meet, which in my case was me.
Yeah, well, that's been a problem with appointed senators in the past. They really didn't have much need to reach out to people on the ground, and
Right.
they didn't, as you said. Yeah, I've met a lot of politicians and very, very few senators I've interacted with. They a lot just once they're in, they disappear. At least even there would be no obligation on your part to keep up with if you got appointed. But I hope that an elected senator off the beginning has gotten that good attitude and thought of engagement.
I definitely think it changes your view on what effectiveness means. For me, I campaigned by traveling the province. Should I be appointed, I would have that same mentality. I don't know all the answers to everything, and if I'm voting on behalf of 4.4 million people, I should get out and meet those folks as much as face-to-face as possible as well. I think you have way more honest conversations, and we have so many industries and different regions within our province. I think it's a disservice and an insult to the Senate to not do your homework.
Great. Well, so have you got events upcoming? I mean, the voting day is coming up on us quite quickly now. Are there things where people can see you and listen to you and things such as that coming up?
Yes, I'm doing a few, obviously, media. I'm likely going to put together a town hall, so on my Facebook page, so just to follow along with that. Just getting out, I have a few, obviously, more virtuals with companies and corporations, just to try and get out there as much as possible. And coming back to door knocking as it is effective, I'm going to pound pavement for the next couple of weeks, trying to just, like you said, raise awareness, talk about this is a way, the Senate election is a way to send Ottawa a message that we won't be ignored, that our Senate elections are the beginning of Senate reform, and that, I have the ability to champion and lead that, and Alberta can show other provinces how effective an elected Senate can be, both in the process by giving them a mandate, but also once they're in the upper house, because I think that there's a different level of accountability than filling out an application and being picked by Trudeau.
Yeah, well, and just to, and often kind of a little bit of political history for people. I believe the American Senate was appointed initially too, a long time ago. And it was a number of states just started on their own. I think Oregon or some oddball was it, but they said, no, we're going to elect ours. It started like this, and it got the ball rolling. And now it's unimaginable that they would ever not be elected in the states. And senators are very effective, powerful representatives for their regions and areas at this point. So, people saying it's futile doing this exercise right now, there's a precedent, and it can work.
Yeah.
So.
But to be honest, I mean, Trudeau's new process is just as partisan as it has ever been. So when you say it's an independent body, well, you look at the people that he's appointed. They're all affiliated with the Liberal Party. They're all going to vote the way that he wants. There is a government caucus, an opposition caucus, a Canadian caucus. So there is partisanship, and also people have ideologies that they have values and beliefs that are tied to. Or in this case, we have a very strong conservative hold in the province. So I think it's a joke that he says it's not partisan, because it is. And you know what? I'd be okay if he called a spade and just owned it, but he's not.
Well, yeah.
So,
the only thing worse than outright official partisanship is unofficial partisanship, because then you don't know where people are coming from necessarily.
Exactly.
But people can typically see through, I think, with the actions and past of the senators who've been appointed. Yeah. So where can people find information on your campaign if they want to take part or just find out more about you and things such as that?
Yeah, of course. So kept it simple. It's, well, not that my name is simple in any way, but erikabarootes.ca. My website has all the information. Some of the topics that I've been able to publish on: my passion for firearms, passion for our military, and then fiscal responsibility, and that we need to, not put capital gains on primary residents and things like that. So all of that is captured on the website. Happy to reach out to folks, just emailing the campaign or any way like that, and setting up calls, because I believe that we need to change the Senate. They need to be accessible. They need to be individuals that will listen and consult with Albertans when sitting in their committees or what have you. And I think that if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. So change comes from within, and that's what I'm working towards.
All right. Well, excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming in. I'll
Yeah,
let you get back on the campaign road there. We're looking forward to election night to see how you do there.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
All right. I'll see you.